Hold up, Browns Nation. What if I told you that everything you think you know about Deshaun Watson's comeback is about to change? What if the narrative you've been hearing about his recovery isn't the full story? Because right now, while the rest of the NFL world is sleeping on Cleveland, something is quietly brewing that could flip the entire AFC North on its head. You see those recent videos of Watson working out? The ones where he's moving like his old self again. Yeah, there's way more to that story than meets the eye. And by the time I'm done breaking this down for you, you're going to understand exactly why this season might be the most important in Browns franchise history. But first, let me paint you a picture of where we really stand right now. 7 months ago, when Watson went down with that Achilles tear, the entire football world wrote us off. They said we were done. They said our Super Bowl window slammed shut. They said Jimmy Haslam just flushed $230 million down the drain on damaged goods. Here's what they didn't count on: the heart of a fighter who refuses to stay down. When Watson posted that workout video saying 7 months and we back at it, followed by more glory, he wasn't just talking to his followers. He was sending a message to every doubter, every critic, every analyst who counted him out. That wasn't just confidence talking. That was a man who's been through hell and decided he's coming back stronger. Now let's get real about what actually happened during his recovery, because the mainstream media got this story completely wrong. Yes, Watson had the initial Achilles surgery in October. Yes, he needed that second procedure in January when complications arose. But here's what nobody's talking about. That second surgery wasn't a setback. It was a strategic move to ensure he comes back at 100%, not 90%. Think about it this way. Watson could have rushed back, played through pain, and given us a shadow of his former self. Instead, he chose the harder path. He chose to do things right, even if it meant more criticism, more doubt, more people questioning whether he's worth that massive contract. That's not the decision of someone who's given up. That's the decision of someone who's planning to dominate for years to come. And those recent training sessions with quarterback coach Quincy Avery? Let me tell you what I'm seeing that everyone else is missing. Watson isn't just going through the motions. His footwork is crisp. His arm strength looks explosive. Most importantly, his confidence is through the roof. When a quarterback who's been through what Watson's been through starts calling his injury a small thing to a giant, you better believe he's seen something in his recovery that has him fired up. But here's where this gets really interesting, and this is something the national media isn't connecting the dots on. Cleveland currently has 4 quarterbacks on the roster: Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Watson. Now, most teams don't carry 4 quarterbacks unless they're planning something specific. The Browns aren't just hedging their bets here, they're setting up for Watson's return while maintaining flexibility. This is chess, not checkers. If Watson gets cleared and he's ready to roll, Cleveland can activate him without disrupting their entire roster construction. If he needs more time, they can keep him on the PUP list and continue developing their other options. Either way, they're positioned to make a move when the timing is right. And let's talk about that timing for a second, because this is crucial. The Browns don't need Watson back in Week 1 to make a serious playoff push. What they need is Watson back when it matters most, when the games get bigger, when the stakes get higher, when his playmaking ability can be the difference between watching the playoffs from home and making a legitimate Super Bowl run. Remember, this is the same quarterback who threw for over 4,800 yards and 33 touchdowns in his last full healthy season. This is the guy who can extend plays with his legs, thread the needle with his arm, and make throws that leave defensive coordinators pulling their hair out. When you combine that skill set with Cleveland's improved offensive line, their deep receiving core, led by Amari Cooper, and one of the league's most underrated running games, you're looking at an offensive attack that could be absolutely lethal. But here's what really has me excited, and this is something you won't hear anywhere else. Watson's motivation level right now is off the charts. When you've been doubted the way he's been doubted, when you've had to watch your team struggle while you're sidelined, when you've got $230 million on your back and critics questioning every move you make, that creates a different kind of hunger. That creates a man on a mission. And Jimmy Haslam calling Watson's tenure a swing and miss so far? That wasn't criticism, that was motivation fuel. Watson heard that. He internalized it. And now he's using it to drive himself back to elite-level performance. Look, I get it. Some of you are scared to get your hopes up again. We've been hurt before. We've invested emotionally in players who didn't deliver. But here's the thing about Watson's situation that's different. The adversity he's overcome just to get back to this point proves he's got something special inside him. This isn't just about physical recovery anymore. This is about a complete transformation. Watson has had months to study film, to work with coaches, to understand Kevin Stefanski's system at a deeper level. He's had time to build relationships with his receivers, to understand their routes, to develop that timing that makes great quarterbacks elite. When he comes back, and I'm saying when, not if, he's not going to be the same quarterback who got hurt. He's going to be better, more focused, more determined, more dangerous. And here's why the rest of the AFC North should be terrified right now. Baltimore's dealing with questions about Lamar Jackson's playoff performance. Pittsburgh's trying to figure out their quarterback situation with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Cincinnati is hoping Joe Burrow can stay healthy after his own injury struggles. Meanwhile, Cleveland is quietly positioning themselves to have the most dynamic offensive weapon in the division back just when everyone expects them to be rebuilding. That's not rebuilding, that's reloading. The signs are all there if you know what to look for. Watson traveling with the team to preseason games. Him staying engaged in team meetings. The confidence in his social media posts. The intensity in his training sessions. This isn't a player going through the motions. This is a player preparing for his comeback tour. So when people ask me if Watson can return to his Pro Bowl form, I don't just think he can. I think he's going to surpass it. When you combine his natural talent with the chip on his shoulder he's carrying right now, with a team around him that's built for success, with a fan base that's ready to explode with excitement, that's a recipe for something special. The question isn't whether Watson will be back. The question is whether the rest of the league is ready for what's coming when he is. Because Browns Nation, we might be witnessing the setup for one of the greatest comeback stories in NFL history. And if you want to stay ahead of all the latest developments in this incredible story, make sure you're subscribed to Browns Breakout and hit that notification bell, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. This season is going to be unlike anything we've seen before, and Watson's return is going to be the catalyst that changes everything. The doubters had their time. The critics had their say. Now it's time for Watson to have his moment. And when that moment comes, Cleveland is going to be ready to ride that wave all the way to where we've been trying to get for decades. Stay tuned, Browns Nation. The best is yet to come.